So Logan has set it up because I was stupid. Everything about this screams danger if you have like a brain cell or two. You didn't put a sequel to Gideon the Ninth, did you?
I absolutely did.
No, Logan, I can't do it. Is he joking? Do you think that flat earthers think this is non-fiction? In a world where reader slumps for the fourth, maybe a bit less, I don't know, month, we invent a game. Because said reader is a child and she needs a game to get motivated. Coming to you literally now. Welcome back to TBRoll, or ReaD20 TBRoll. I always forget how I actually call this, it's very clunky. But it's been a long while, I think 7 to 8 months to be specific. If you're unfamiliar with the game, when I roll the die and it falls onto the number, whatever book is behind that corresponding printout, that's what I read. And then there's a surprise prompt inside for a doing, you know, some sort of activity. Because my health has been very rocky recently, I am doing away with the activity. No activities, only reading. But to make it a little bit more exciting, I am going into this entirely blind. I don't want to even know or suspect what books are behind the printouts and the doors. Of course, I have to figure out a way how I can do that. So this is where I employ my lovely partner to help me out with it. He's going to select 20 books to put behind that. I have no idea what they are. The only thing I asked for him is to not put something extremely long because I actually want to read a couple of books, hopefully, fingers crossed. In order for him to pick accurately, because he does know some of the books that I've read, some of the books we also have read together because we are that despicably cute sometimes. I thought I will go and take photos of the shelves and then just kind of use an app or something to mark the books that I have read, and this is also in turn going to make me feel very bad about the fact of how little that is in comparison to the ones that I still need to read. So that is what I'm going to do now. Now you might be saying, hey, why don't you just give him your Goodreads and he can like log it in and see? And that is because I think for the last 2 years my Goodreads has been completely abandoned, and then I also thought I'm just gonna not even bother and I'm going to migrate into Storygraph, and I still haven't done that. So now I have photos like these, and I'm just going to try... Oh, that's tiny, damn it. Oh, there. Just kind of like scroll out the ones that I've read. You know what? The first one made me feel quite good about myself. Look at that, second shelf. But also for the shelves that I have stuff slightly double stacked, I also just did not bother like removing them to take a photo of what's behind. This one's also not too bad. Slightly more gaps in that one, but still pretty good. The more to the right side we go, the worse I'll get. This is actually tragic.
"20 semi-random books for Gintara to read." Now it's space. She likes space. I'm gonna put them over here, I think. In these bits. Don't know if I'm gonna do it well though, because I never use that stuff. It's starting. It's an art, not a science. There we go. It's really bad. She wants to move it, but she can't. And the final one. There you go. 19 secret books. 20 secret books.
Why is this angle? Is this how you see me?
Yeah, I did my own thing.
You did. So Logan has set it up, taking up like most of the shelves, which is fine. But I'm gonna do the first roll now, because why not? I wanna say that's 13. So 13 is right here. Oh. I was gonna guess what it is. Like, I know why you chose this. It's because my brain's on fire.
Yes. Brain on fire, because her brain is on fire. That's exactly what I said in the recording.
This is a non-fiction book.
Oh.
And did you read what this is about?
No.
When you so.
I just thought it was contemporary because I read some. Actually, no, I skimmed a bit.
Yeah, that is absolutely fair. And to be honest, I did try reading this at one point, but I don't think I've gone further than like a page, or at least it was on a TBR. So it's a good thing. Like I can try and read this. Very bad timing. Like health-wise, I'm not about to cheat. I will give this a go, and if I don't enjoy it or something, it's gonna be quite an easy one to DNF. I think it is an autobiography kind of non-fiction, or maybe not. I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna read off the back so we can both kind of understand what's going on. First serious blackout marked the line between sanity and insanity. It started with a headache, then within days, 24-year-old New Yorker Susanna Cahalan was having violent fits, hallucinating, blacking out, and attacking those around her. This is the story of one woman's descent into insanity and brains on fire. She pieces together terrifying last month of her life, asking what happens when your identity is suddenly destroyed and how you get it back. So perfect timing for me to have just started new medicine. Yeah. Being hypervigilant of everything going on and all the symptoms, so I can't wait to read about headaches and hallucinations. Excited. Not something I would have picked myself for now, but we'll attempt it. Maybe there's an audiobook. I feel like that would be very helpful. The font is quite small, but I can also see there's pictures. Oh, I see it. The clock drawing thing, you know, when they like, from like psychology studies, when you draw a clock and people with certain issues like put all of the numbers on one side. I can't remember what it's called. They had a name, but yeah, there's other like visual bits. But I'm gonna check if there is perhaps an audiobook. I remember when I got this because it was a very long time ago. 24 didn't seem that long ago. Now I'm 32. And I'm like, oh wow, she was young. But I remember getting this and I was closer to that age, I think. So this has been on my shelves for a very long time. So it's about time we try it. 2014, I think it was published by Penguin here. It came out in 2012 or something. That's the first one. But I thought I'll match something. So what's giving Brain is on Fire? Oh, you know what? Not only is it matching colors, but I feel like if you really look into here, the brains might be on fire. It has like similar shades of the green. So we're gonna count it and we're gonna use this. I'm really hoping there's an audiobook somewhere. I'm having a slight memory recap that this might have happened before. Unavailable in your country. I guess we're gonna read this physically. Hello, it's one of those I look how I feel days, so you just gotta excuse me, but 20 pages in this book, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's not even that it's very tiny. I think that like the spacing between the actual like lines is just, it's not a lot. It's not a lot of spacing. So it's feeling a bit longer than the regular pages, I feel. Brain on Fire is a story that a journalist wrote about their own experience. And she's living a very stereotypical struggling writer's life in New York, of course. One day she notices that she's kind of obsessing about these bed bugs that are currently, you know, ongoing in New York. There's like an outbreak that it could be there or it might not be there, and then her left arm starts being numb, and then it kind of spreads through the left side in general. She speaks to her colleagues. She calls her gynecologist the same day. Surprising part for me here is that not only did she call a doctor directly, I think, on the same day, got them to refer her to a neurologist on the same day, got seen by the neurologist on the same day. But wait, that's not all. The neurologist was like, everything is normal, but let's have an MRI. Sorry? Sorry? 10 years of a plethora of definitely not normal symptoms, and I'm only now, last year October, got a referral through our NHS system, not privately, but through NHS, for an MRI, which, by the way, still waiting on, have not heard about, and it's currently about a 7-month wait and counting. So to me, I understand that is not the point. I know that obviously healthcare in US gets so much flack, but the fact that, unless it's just for the stories purposes, but the fact that all of that happened within a day. So not the point. But that is where I am now in the story. The story is being told, obviously, retrospectively, author's point of view, and they do say that they had to use a lot of other people's records as well as their very unreliable memory because what the condition that they had did affect the memory. So they call themselves an unreliable narrator, which is interesting to read from. Of course, we know that things will escalate and we know it's gonna get much more serious later on. So far, I'm enjoying it, and so far I'm kind of like reading. I love listening to nonfictions more than I love reading them. I prefer to read fantasy stuff. So far, I'm doing okay. Very small things can make me spiral very quickly when my inhibition, I feel, is very much impacted by the new medicines. I was really worried that it's genuinely going to trigger me and I will have like a panic attack. I'll have like a whole spiral. But so far we're good. The writing style is okay. For someone who's a journalist, I feel like it's giving blog post writing of that type of era of like 2009. It's a little bit conversational. It's a little bit like those like kind of fun magazine type of things. So I don't know if that's gonna continue because of course I know that things are going to progress in a worse way. Because there's a little bit of humor added in, it is making it lighter. So I'm just sitting here, I'm enjoying myself. It's all going well. So in somewhat shocking turn of the events, I actually did sit the entire evening yesterday and I finished this book. I think it's very funny. What's the word for being slightly envious of someone going through something much worse? That is bizarre. A house type of doctor TV show situation when everyone is trying to solve it really hard and then eventually do. It's bizarre how you're envious of that, but that's crazy. I do like that it touched upon the reality of how much this is undiagnosed, her condition. I like that it was discussed about how inaccessible that is, and it did touch upon a little bit how she was in a very unique position to, one, have insurance that has covered majority of the payment, which I think she mentioned was at the end like over $1 million. And also having parents who were able to carry on with the tests when needed, which of course very few people would be in that situation that they're able to do that, let alone get pure lucky in a situation where one of the neurologists capable of looking at her through a lens that needed to be looked at and very committed. And it wasn't the first one as well, so that's also touched upon. Gaslighting as well, which we would expect. The writing style, I think, was quite manageable. It kept you quite involved, but it did have that kind of tone of ease of read that did remind me of those type of like blog posts as well, which I think worked as a strength for this because of course the topic is quite heavy and you have a lot of scientific terminology throughout, which I also quite enjoyed. It's nice having a little illustrations throughout as well. It's not like an overwhelming amount, but it was nice seeing like experts from either her journal, her doodles, their stocks of video from the moments that she doesn't remember. There were a couple of moments where it was like some unnecessary remarks which I felt like showed the age of the book perhaps. It's like a little dash of fat phobia here and there, which was unnecessary, but also some of it was speaking through insecurities for after the medication and how that affects her body, which I really relate to. And at the end of the day, we do live in a society. Beauty standards for women especially are something, so can't really massively blame for that, but there were a couple more other no's that I was like, all right, you know, and then just swiftly move on from that because it's not the point of the book. The point of the book is how your body can just turn against you very quickly. Sometimes I feel like people really hesitate talking to people who are chronically ill, and it's not because they don't really know what to say. It's the fact that that can happen to anyone at any point. I think COVID obviously showed that with long COVID and stuff, loads of people going from completely healthy to not feeling like themselves for years after and still battling that. And there's certain type of uncomfortability speaking to someone who you know is like a big fear of yours that might happen to you. And that's I think where also people say like, did you drink enough water? Did you try yoga? Thinking that it's all either environmental or something within your control, because the fact that it isn't is such a scary thought that I think a lot of people really battle with. People would rather think that there's something they can do to avoid that, because if they do it, if they do yoga, if they drink enough water, that could never be them. Anyway, also not really the point of the book, but I did enjoy it. I gave it like a high 3.5 stars, I think. I don't think it can kind of go any higher than that for me, but I also would be quite willing to watch the movie, and I might do. I washed my hair on my lunch break and I thought we could roll again to see what my next adventure is. I'm also really happy to have this read because I've genuinely had this from such a young YouTube age. I feel like I might have gotten this like in 2016 when I started. It was definitely at the beginning of my YouTube journey. So it's nice to have something ticked off that has been sat on my shelf as like a literal TBR vet. So, and absolutely 100% would not have gotten to this if it wasn't in this project. So happy about that. Terrified about rolling again to see what we get, because it really did not expect to have this, although I did suspect because of the title if he did spot it, so that makes sense. But let's roll again to see what the next one is. Do a little squish for luck. I don't know what I'm hoping for because I don't know what's there, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, we're going right next to it. Number 12. Oh, it's a hardback. You can see, you can guess what this is from the half-sheet situation.
My roommate is a vampire. It looks terrible. Not terrible, it looks cliche.
My roommate is a vampire. I have no idea where this is gonna go. I think I have been intrigued by this when I first heard about it, but then I think I've heard like mixed things about it. So not 100% sure, but also quite happy that I feel like this must be a much lighter read. So that's kind of fallen in quite nicely, so I can go in through a more chill vibe, because this is a romance, right? Cassie Greenberg needs a new place to live in fast. When she finds an adorable apartment in a beautiful neighborhood, she knows there must be a catch. Of course, her new roommate, Frederick J. Fitzwilliam, is far from normal. He sleeps all day, is out at night on business, and talks like he walks out of a Regency novel. Okay. He also leaves Cassie heart-melting notes around the apartment. Oh, it's a bit like Flatshare when they shared the flat but worked different shifts. Actually did really enjoy Flatshare, so granted that none of them were a vampire, but always asks about her day and doesn't look half bad shirtless on the rare occasion they're both home and awake. There's no denying there's a spark between them, but there's also a secret. With true love at stake, will Frederick come clean? Oh, at stake, get it? This is the Fairloot edition, so let me just show you how it looks like. This is the next one. Would you like to say why you picked this?
Because he looks like a cool dude. Cool vampire dude.
Oh, is that the reason?
Yeah, that and trying to pick something that isn't just sci-fi or fantasy.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm excited for this. It seems nice and chill. Very nice. I have gone ahead and picked our alchemy professor for the bookmark. I just thought like the color scheme matches a little bit, but also it's giving like he could be a vampire. He's not, but I feel like this is the closest I got for that. And I am 56 pages in this and having a really good time, honestly. I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't like going in with any expectations. Maybe that's helped me. I did look at the Goodreads of this. The average rating is very low. It's like 3.6, which is pretty low on Goodreads. So I'm not quite sure, maybe this is gonna take like a turn or something, but so far I'm having a great time. You know, it's not like a deep read. It's not like we're gathering all of these topics to discuss and there's nothing very profound here at all, but it is so fun. The main girl, who finds herself in a situation where she's about to be evicted of her flat, is really struggling financially, and they find this Craigslist apartment that is in a very good area and is saying that it's going to be like the entire room for $200, which of course is extremely suspicious. This is where we kind of have to like suspend our disbelief or just hope that in reality no one would actually go for that, because everything about the situation, then they Google the person's name, you know, the Frederick Fitzwilliam, and can't find anything online, which is of course red flag already, but they think, oh, maybe they used a fake name, but the name keeps appearing. Anyway, and she goes into the viewing and the friend is waiting outside just in case it is a murderer. The place is extremely lavish. Obviously think that kind of like old vampire, stereotypical vampire money, loads of beautiful decor, but all very dark, very gothic-y, very different from her personality and her taste, I feel. The kitchen is like untouched and then extremely pristine because obviously he doesn't cook and doesn't eat. So we have to just kind of accept that she's going to put herself in the situation where it's completely dumb because of course everything about this screams danger if you have like a brain cell or two. So we're just going to accept that. We're just not going to question that, because for the book to go the way that it's going to go, we have to live together and be in that situation. Could there be like a more proper reason for that? Maybe, but you know what? It's fine. We're just moving with it because it's not that deep. The writing is very simple, but it's also quite joyous. I think that it's likely that some people maybe didn't like the personality types, because the guy is speaking in a very kind of like old-timey proper way, but that could be more of a personality trait because he does have a friend who I'm assuming is also a vampire, and he just speaks like normal. But it sounds like he is new to the century because he does not really understand what like credit cards are. I think he called them, I also need to borrow your little plastic money card thing one last time to his friend. I think I really enjoy it because I am very fond of, what you call it, it's not really a trope, but a device, I guess, a little flavor where our character or one of the characters just does not know how to human. So in the book The Humans, one of my favorite books still to date, an alien lands on Earth and takes the shape of a human but is very unaware of any of the customs, any of the ways of life of a human, and has to experience that through trying to integrate. It was so joyful, the little things that you don't really think about, the notes of anything, the commentary, I live for it. We have a little bit of that going on with Friedrich. I still don't quite know why he needed a roomie to begin with. I think we're gonna get to that detail later. Obviously, his room is off limits because I'm assuming he sleeps in a coffin. I don't know. He sleeps though during the day. And there's another room that he said maybe he will let us know later what it is, but is currently does not want to talk about it. So there's a mystery room. But then she tries to cook herself dinner the first night that she gets there, but she can't find any pots or pans. And then when she asks him, and I don't know why that cracked me up so much, because it was just like so silly. She asks him about where the pots and pans are, and he kind of like panics. Oh, I am having my pots and pans repaired. And that just really tickled me. And then there's another bit where he messages her because he is now going to get pots and pans, and he just messages, do you eat sauce? And she's like, sauce? And he's like, yes. Do you enjoy eating it? Why? I am presently at a store that sells cooking implements. An entire section of the store is dedicated to saucepans. Other customers seem quite enamored with them, but before I purchase one for the apartment, I want to confirm that the sauce is something you eat. And it's just these little things. I just feel like they're very cheerful, and I am having a great time. Do a little bit readathon work tonight, and then just enjoy this book. I am having honestly such a good time because it's just so easy and it's so non-committal, and it's exactly, I feel like, what I kind of want to. So this is also super unexpected because it's not a book that was like on my radar, like anywhere high on the TBR to be read soon. Pleasantly surprised. One thing I will say is that, like, as much as I'm enjoying this dynamic, I currently feel like zero actual chemistry between them. So, and I know we're going to inevitably have to approach that type of side of the story, and maybe that's where it is going to be a little bit awkward or something, because currently it's more so funny and endearing rather than anything else, although he is meant to be like ungodly beautiful, which is of course fine because he's a vampire, so we can let that go, because obviously want to check if there's any fan art. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I will say though, like, tone-wise, it's hard to not take it like the too silly, goofy route, so I am a little bit worried about the chemistry part. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm having a good time, and that's what matters. Good morning. I want to mix in the sourdough bread before I start working, just so I have that going and we can bake it tomorrow. It seems like it's very hands-on, but it's actually very hands-off. You just have to come back every like couple of minutes, which gives me a reason to stand up from the desk either way for like literally 5 minutes to like do a little fold or whatever, and then we get back to it. So I thought I'll bring you along. This is my experiment notes. Here's Dovanthia. Which loaf is this? Oh, number 10. She's alive. This is gonna be someone's phobia, I'm sorry. I'm gonna plop a little bit just to make sure that she floats. Yeah. Then we literally have barely anything left, and that's gonna be enough. So at this point, some people just kind of leave it for an hour. I found a couple of different things that work a little bit better for me, but that being said, obviously every time something can go wrong either way, so I'm not too fussed about that. I do wear gloves because my hands get very dry when I wash them every time I do this. I'm gonna knead it a little bit, which I know is like controversial. There's so many rules around this, and I don't care. I'm gonna leave her for an hour.
1 hour later.
So this is the first stretch and fold, but I'm actually doing slaps instead, and that's my favorite one. I'm not gonna lie, it's just very therapeutic and very fun. So much fun. Oh, that one wasn't as loud, and that's how you know it's getting there. Oink. We're putting her back for 30 minutes, and then we're gonna do the second one, and then another 30 minutes, then we're gonna do the third one, then another 30 minutes, and I like to do the fourth and final one, and then we're just gonna leave her sit until she's ready for us to shape. It's been about 6 hours now in total. It's not sticky and it's kind of springy. It could be the case that we could leave it for longer, but at the same time, I think this is fine. Feels okay. It might be slightly underproofed, I don't know. Just a little. And then she just goes in the fridge overnight because you can't have any immediate gratification for stuff with sourdough. I thought I'll give you a midway through update. I am a little bit further actually than midway through. I maybe gotten a little bit too excited at the beginning, but I was truly just living for it at the start. But once we start getting a little bit more into the romance, it's harder. I don't remember if I mentioned this, but I think my prediction of, you know, because it was like so silly goofy and so like ridiculous at the beginning, then it's a little bit hard for me to like get into like the feelings between them. But also then we get slammed with some of the kind of harder to swallow for me devices in romance. We have this period where everyone is like very reluctant to admit that they're into each other, which is so obvious to us. Then, you know, it's fine if it lasts for a little bit, like that's fine. But I feel like we're not really wanting to look into it, and like we're not gonna analyze whatever this feeling was, and like come on, like we know what the feeling is. And then the jealousy starts, and it's just tricky. It's not my favorite way to go about this. I think I still really enjoyed the goofiness of learning how to live in the modern life, which is basically the whole premise of the book, is that the guy needs someone to teach him how to fit in. I think there is a level of how much we can suspend our disbelief on anything, because I feel like we really already walked the line to begin with for someone to willingly put themselves in a situation that's clearly very fishy, and then for it to be so clueless. But the more we go forward, the more I feel like even if you lived many years ago and this is not your era, and you wake up and suddenly you're like slammed with all of this technology and everything, surely like the concept of a bin should not be so foreign. I understand maybe there is like a class difference involved as well, but the concept, surely. I'm not enjoying it as much as I was at this point, but I'm still having like a good enough time. I am reading this book with the mindset of, you know, the exaggeration was the key here. We are here to have like a good fun time. There's nothing too deep about it, but sometimes we delve into a lot of the sides of girls' like career and passion, which is like this modern art style, and sometimes she just goes on and on about that. Basically the text in between the more humorous bits about the vampire learning how to fit into the society are a little bit of a bore, but I also equally think that this is a very challenging dynamic to put it so hee haha and so humorous, and then also have this like deep need for one another and have some sort of chemistry going. So I understand that this is a challenging thing, but obviously they have picked this premise for themselves. I feel like this could also have been a very nice book if we just didn't have it as a romance, if it was just like the roommate situation and it's like more friend stuff. But I understand that that is a hard sell, and even though I would have probably really enjoyed that if it was like shorter, like 200 pages, and it's just that, and we're really just honing into the vampire stuff, it would be a bit more like What We Do in the Shadows, which I personally really love, and that just sounds delightful. And I think that's why I enjoyed the first quarter of it more, because that was before anything else started. But I'm still reading it and I'm still gonna continue, so I'm still very glad that I picked this up. But again, it would have been like, it's just a good time, and that that's good. I'm on my lunch break now. I have a meeting right after, so I can't actually start the bread. But as soon as work ends, I'm going to put the oven on and we can go and bake that yesterday's bread and see how that turns out, because that's fun. And Logan should be back at that point, and then we'll have to wait like an hour and a half. Well, you won't, because you'll just see it right after, to cut the bad boy, which is fun. That's if it rises well. I'm a little bit sad that my pull towards this has dimmed slightly. I think it's also because I don't anticipate it getting better. I think it's maybe gonna be just a little bit worse and worse for me. But fingers crossed, and you know, it might surprise me still, so. Alright, 3, 2, 1.
Tai greitai labai, kiek laiko kepa?
Ne, tai pirma būna, paskui reikia dar atgal dėti, tik be dangčio. Šitas irgi bandė? Ai, palauk, aš. I am EP. I'm gonna go to bed, but I need to feed my starter, which I get so like tired of doing sometimes. I didn't cut it today. This is the first day that I bake and then don't cut it. We had our dinner before, so it didn't matter. So it's a small loaf, it's not a big one. Knock test, and what we're looking for is it sounding hollow. It's sounding good. So we're just going to wrap her in this. This feels very, I don't know, like I should put a sundress and frolic around. Leave this at the windowsill. I've finished the book. I ran it through Copilot as well. It was very, very middle ground, so it literally was 5 out of 10, which is a 3-star. The further I've gone, the more I checked out of the story. I do think that everything that I've said in the last update kind of stands. I don't know, the tone was weird. I think I can definitely see what it was going, and it was really amusing at the beginning, but then it's harder to take the characters seriously when things don't quite add up. And the characters themselves didn't quite really add up, because I feel like as much as the main character is teaching this vampire how to adjust to the century, it really didn't feel like he made much of progress. Jarring. It was just odd. It was silly, but sometimes it just really missed the mark with the balance there. So that's another one down though, and it is time to roll again. Do you want to guess what number I'm gonna go for? Do you have
6.
do you have a number that you're... Did you put anything on there that you actually care about my opinion on?
I don't remember what's behind any of it.
Okay. All right. Let's roll and see what's next on the agenda.
Here's one that I want you to get.
Is there?
Yep. Mooney
Is
said
the
we want you to
will
read
on
it as well.
will of the many?
No, you told me not to put that there because it's too big.
No, I told you that that's the one that was allowed.
I didn't put that in.
That's fine. You didn't put Logan.
What did I put?
You didn't put a sequel to Gideon the Ninth, did you?
I absolutely did.
No, Logan, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Power of the Ninth is one of the options.
I can't do it.
Man.
I can't. No,
will.
I don't remember the
You
first
will.
one, and it's just such a mind jumble. I'm not in the mood to be confused. Do you know what number it is?
I think I do.
Oh man.
I do, yeah, I do, because it makes sense.
It's 9.
Yeah, if you roll a 9, that's
Oh my
what it is.
god.
I'm gonna have to supervise you now to make sure you don't roll a 9 and go, oops, and touch it.
Kick it a little. Diabolical. Alright, squish, squish, squish. So you just gotta wait. Oh,
Wait,
thank
wait.
God.
Wait.
It's an 8, but it was so close. That was so close. The 9 is right there on the side, but it is an 8. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Oh, this is a skinny one. Felt like it was a hardcover from the spine, but I think it's just a small paperback. Oh no.
What is it?
It's Arms and Legs.
Yeah!
What was your reason for this one?
Arms and legs.
Arms and Legs.
Arms and legs. Just because it's an amazing title.
Okay.
Arms and legs.
Arms and Legs. Honestly, I'm just gonna tell you what it is about when I started, because I don't remember anymore. I remember picking this up because of the title and the cover, and because it's kind of hilarious. So I want to say this is like a murder thriller type of thing. I'm not quite sure. But I guess we'll figure it out together. At least it's Friday, but I'm so tired. I need to wake up because I have lots of work to do. It's been a couple of days. Readathon prep is in full swing, so I mainly just spend my free time doing that. I'm currently on my lunch break, and today I decided that I'm going to finally start this. I did have a couple of other times when we were on a walk or I was on a drive that I could have listened to an audiobook, but no such thing exists for this. I was going to read a little bit, and then I was going to also pick a bookmark, you know, like we were doing for this, but I am 25 pages into this short book, and I think I'm calling it. I don't like the writing style. I am trudging my way through this, and it's actually, because you're hearing this and because it's me, you'll think that it's lyrical, but it's actually the very opposite of it. Very blunt, very simple, but it just reads clunky. It reads like an early draft to me, which, you know, just my opinion. It's very dry and it's very factual in the way that it's telling the story. In a sense that it's just naming things that are happening. It feels very much tell from the show and tell kind of thing. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll get hooked a little bit because, you know, 25 pages, it's like really not a long time. The premise itself, I'm just not feeling it. We have this couple that have had a child and they're just kind of not feeling it, and the woman is like cheating. And I looked at the back and it says Georgie's marriage has stagnated, but in Florida, almost claustrophobic with life, there is no room to attend to it. Forests burn, termites abound, teeth break, and there's something in her husband's eye. Then she finds a body in the woods. I didn't get to this part, so I am very aware that I'm quitting really early on, and maybe the writing style is to show that claustrophobia, to show that mundaneness, to show the stagnation of every day just being a list of tasks. I get that, but it's making me want to put down this, and it's so early on. There is a possibility that it would get better, maybe once she finds that dead body, and it says, as the repercussions of her discovery and a doomed affair come to land, Georgie is forced to confront her past, examining the often heartbreaking power of the things we witness and the scars they leave behind. Arms and Legs is a searingly intimate exploration of motherhood, marriage, and desire. And it might improve, but I don't think I have it in me to wait for that. It's been a long time that I didn't agree with the writing style that was leaning this way rather than too lyrical, so I'm quite surprised. I thought this is going to be quite a nice non-fantasy as well to read in between things. I was kind of even hoping to like use this for one of the readathons or something, but I'm actually quite happy that it has landed in this game, because now I know to not do that, and I think I will be unhauling this. Maybe it's gonna end up in a home where someone is a little bit more agreeable with this. It's dragging to the point where I just don't have a good feeling. Before making this decision, I also looked in the reviews, and it's like averaging around like 3.2 or something, which is a very low rating. So with that, I don't normally take that too much to heart, because again, I have my own opinions and everyone does, and it doesn't mean anything, but it is in situations like this, I think, pretty good to make an educated guess. And I think I am going to put this away before this tiny book puts me in a slump and move on to the next thing. But that was quite unexpected. I didn't have like massive expectations for this, but I thought it's going to be a bit more thrilling. What I read was enough for me to put it aside. So interesting development, but I'm excited to roll again. At least that gives me a chance to get more of these numbers. So let's go do that. The mandatory squish before we roll. Oh. We got a 20. I'm also just realizing that Logan put 1 at the top and 20 at the bottom, which is the opposite of how I normally do that. Can already tell this is another skinny one. Oh, wow. He isn't at home, but I kind of can guess why he picked this. I have never actually read any Terry Pratchett books yet, so I understand this is a big educational gap in my literature journey. The Terry Pratchett books on the shelves are actually the few books that are Logan's and not mine, so I understand why this would also make an appearance. However, I actually would have thought that he chose Mort, I believe, not this one. I don't know if he has read this one even himself. Is Mort also on the shelves?
Similarly, we're throwing 2 Terry Pratchett's into the pile. Colour Magic and Mort, to get Kintara to finally read them.
I'm slightly terrified. This is going to be officially my first dip into Discworld world. I don't know where about this falls in. I don't know if you put any thoughts on whether this is a good place to start. This one is called The Color of Magic. Oh, it says the first Discworld novel. Okay, so we're going like actually in order. Interesting. In the beginning there was ... a turtle. Somewhere on the frontier between thought and reality exists the Discworld, a parallel time and place which might sound and smell very much like our own, but which looks completely different. Particularly as it's carried through space on the back of a giant turtle, sex unknown. It plays by different rules. But then some things are the same everywhere. The Disc's very existence is about to be threatened by a strange new blight, the world's first tourist upon whose survival rests the peace and prosperity of the land. Unfortunately, the person charged with maintaining that survival in the face of robbers, mercenaries, and, well, death is a spectacularly inept wizard. You know what? I'm actually really excited about this. I have been way too intimidated by this in the fear that it's gonna be too quirky for me, but I feel like I'm also in the mood for something like this. Currently, again, in the prep for readathon as well, I am in that epic setting with slightly funny side stuff, slight absurd stuff, just like good vibes. I'm actually very excited that this has come up. Again, not a book I would have chosen at all. I don't even know if this wasn't here, if I've ever tried to dip into the Discworld. This could be the beginning of like a whole journey. Or I might hate it and then people will be mad at me, which is also okay. But I'm actually very excited to try this. And that also just acts as a reminder of why it's so important to DNF books that you don't feel like you're going to be having a good time with, because this immediately has made me so much more excited, even if it doesn't end up being a good read for me, and even if I do also end up having to DNF this one, I'm already very happy with, I don't know, it gives me the spark is back, and that's all we need. Now we just need to pick bookmark. This could be quite good. It suits the vibes, I feel. It suits the colors at least. Ooh, or this, since we're also talking Aurelium, or just straight up Aurelium, but I feel like maybe not yet. I think I'm gonna stick with the little Impling one. This little guy is all about the big, vast, unknown surrounding world and just surrendering to the fact that you're part of it and not fighting the existence. And you know what? I just feel like this is gonna be me, the tiny speck in this massive world that I'm going to embark on. Not to be dramatic. Let me update you as I feed my demons. I have one cat that eats extra slowly and one cat that just eats like a seagull. If you've ever seen a seagull eat, that is Momo. And the issue is that he is a nasty boy, and once he's done with his, he goes and steals his brother's food, so that's obviously not ideal. I give Zeus his wet food first, whilst then I plate Momo's in his slow feeder then. We got it, you know, those like lick pads adds a puzzle element to his food. I think he hates it because obviously it slows him down a little bit, but he's still faster than Zeus just eating out of regular bowl, so I have to like stand guard basically. But since last I spoke with you, we now have announced the readathon. I am done with the prep. I have released everything and now I'm back to kind of like reading for this project. So that is what the holdup was. But I'm like 120 pages into The Color of Magic, so I have made some progress. I have initial thoughts, update you, but also I would like to let you know that I didn't attach the camera to the tripod properly and it has just fallen, and I think I had half a heart attack while that happened because, you know, I have a lens on this as well that could have broken. I have the body that could have broken, so I'm just like praying everything still works and all is fine. This has unlocked some sort of hidden trauma because when I was like 16 and I had my first camera because I was like into photography or whatever, and that was like a big deal to me, especially back then. I feel put the camera on top of a fridge because I was stupid. But I put it on top of the fridge and I thought that, oh, I'm just gonna do some shots from there, and it slid off and it fell and it broke and it was not repairable. My heart is in my ass, but we're recovering. Also, the wash is going really loudly, is doing that fast cycle, so I'm hoping that you can hear it. The first kind of thoughts experience on... No, Momo, no. Go back. You still have some on yours. Momo, You still have yours. I'm reading this physically because I think I just cannot comprehend it when I try to listen to it, because I did try to listen to a tiny bit on Spotify and I was like, nothing's going in, because his writing style, and I knew this going in, is, you know, kind of compared to like that of Douglas Adams, or Adam Douglas. I remember The Hitchhiker's Guide. Very humorous, it's very clever with the wordage, purposeful with the way that things are worded, because that is where the charm comes through. But because of that, I find myself really reminded that this is not my native language. So I was worried going into this, thinking it's going to be very heavy, and I am reading it much slower than any other book, I would say. But I'm actually really enjoying it, because the humor that this utilizes, again, it's very kind of like wordplay quirky, but it's also kind of dry and British, I feel. It feels very clever, it feels very, I don't know how to explain it, but it feels very homey to me. I do find that because the writing style is not just how it's written, but it's also the sentence, like to the sentence structure level, I find that I have to translate it back into English that I feel like I understand, so it's taking me a little bit longer. It doesn't feel like I have to put in like a lot of effort, but it's definitely not effortless. I think it's just made better by the fact that it is enjoyable and it is cheerful, and it's also kind of bitey in places, so I don't mind it too much. It's a little bit chaotic sometimes with the actual plot. I do have one thing that I don't love, and that is, you know how you just normally have text and there's paragraphs, and normally if a POV swaps, like either some type of marking or a different chapter, or just like a bigger gap in between the paragraphs, you don't hear. Like, it'll go from one sentence to another and it has had swapped POVs, and it can be quite disorienting for me to follow, especially when, again, written in this kind of quirky way. But I think the first 80 or so pages, I was enjoying it maybe a little bit more than I currently am, because we've hit quite a lot of back-to-back action scenes, which I think are quite descriptive, and I don't, you know, historically not my favorite, but also because we have moved from the city that we were in. I said no. And that's another thing I don't really like. Another thing that I don't like is traversing books. Like when we are moving from point to point to point, kind of adventuring, which is ironic, I feel, for the worlds and stories that I create on my end, but sometimes it's not my favorite to read through unless I'm really invested in the characters, and the characters have a lot of dialogue going on, and that in that case I could love it. But so far, overall, I am pretty positive with this. I'm definitely continuing. It is slow going, but it is going, and it is enjoyable. So we're gonna take that. I feel like sometimes, though, I am a little bit too tired to go into this because it feels a little bit more effortful. Some other books, but I do have sprints with Gav on Patreon today, so I think I'm gonna be trying to continue with this and hopefully make like a better dent into this. Maybe probably not finish. That's very that's very ambitious of me. But the premise is that there is this like faraway land that is a rival to the current city, or the current, I don't want to say empire, I don't know, like part of the world that we're in. That faraway land is much richer and much more powerful, and we're focusing at the start on this city that is full of thieves and wranglers and criminals almost, but obviously also just like regular people. But it's painted as a little bit more of a dodgy place. And we have a first ever tourist come from that other land, and there is a hilarious language barrier, and one of the wizards, who's kind of like a quote-unquote failed wizard. So while this wizard is failed at the wizardry, he's actually pretty good at languages. So he finds a language that he can actually talk with this tourist, who seems to be throwing gold coins that obviously are worth a bit less from where he comes from, and much, much more here, and is drawing all of the attention from the onlookers, and the onlookers are of dangerous variety. The tourist has a very endearing look at life, though, and he's like endearingly optimistic to a flaw. And you know, we have the luggage, which is this thing on the cover with a lot of legs that keeps skidding around, and is also joyous, even though not to the eyes. And our wizard then is basically kind of against his will, kind of not, tasked to protect this tourist, whilst the tourist is very much wanting to explore and experience everything, even though it is kind of perilous, and he is kind of obnoxiously okay with it. So yeah, it is joyous, it is interesting, it's different. It's my first taste into Terry Pratchett. Don't yet know if I'll continue. I know from people talking to me that it is a little like up and down depending on which book. I don't know if this book is considered one of the best ones. I think I've heard that not so much, but there's like 41 books in total, so I don't know. It's like a big commitment, especially if not all of them are great. Obviously between the 41 books there's going to be some duds, I'm sure. Also, Logan pointed something out that was quite also funny. This quote here didn't quite age well. Anyway, hopefully I'll do a little bit of a dent into this project tonight, and I'll let you know if any of my thoughts change and what sort of decisions we make. I don't know how many days later this is, and I'm gonna be so honest, but I'm really struggling picking this back up. Even remember if I said this already, but we left that first setting, and after that it's just very like action, 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 and we don't even like stop to take a breath, and everything just seems very choppy. It's still very quirky, but I'm struggling to really care about the action parts because I feel like we're not getting any like quality time with the characters. And I understand this is the first book, and so as far as I heard, it's not the strongest, and I've just reached the last bit, so I don't have like an overwhelming amount left. I was really enjoying it as well. I am kind of ready to move on, and I've been ready to move on, and I think that's why I kind of avoided reading it, because I'm also enjoying it, or was enjoying it, so I didn't want to DNF it, especially because it's like I don't have that much left. So it's all a little bit weird. So my plan is to go do my hair. It is the Friday evening after work. I'm gonna do my hair, I'm gonna make some dinner, and then I'm going to finish this because I want to be free. I do love the writing kind of style, and I do love what it's trying to do, and I love the first part. So I would definitely be up for reading more of the series, because again, I know. And also Ellen sent me this, which is the first book in the Witches one, so maybe I should just skip this era and go into that one, or the Death one, because I know that one's also beloved, and we do have Mort. I don't know if that's the first book though in the Death series or not, but I would definitely try more. I am known to like not like that kind of travel style ... And it makes sense because I enjoyed the first part where we were a bit more focused on characters talking to each other and we were in the same setting. So I don't know. I've finished the first book in this Scroll series. Again, not a thing on my bingo card, but we're finished. I don't really have any new thoughts that I've not said. I really appreciate the writing style. I can see the charm of the series. I can see why people love this, and I do intend on reading more. Was this my like favorite? No. I think it's gonna come at like a 3-star mark. The beginning I think was very, very good, and I think it was a very good introduction. As well, there were a couple of things that I was audibly chuckling, not like howling, but I was audibly chuckling. Also, I've noted one thing to mention because I found it really, really hilarious. There's this bit that says, "My name is a material," she said. "That's a pretty name," said Rincewind. To you, it doesn't mean anything, but I was aghast because this is exactly what happened in Logan's D&D game. I played for a little bit at the start, and we're basically in a ship. The campaign is still going on. I just kind of like took a step back because health and spoons. Characters and souls on the ship, and the ship is kind of semi-sentient. It has like an AI in it, and every time our characters die, they get brought back to the ship and like restructured. Mystery why you're there, you don't remember your life before. It's semi a purgatory thing, semi where we kidnapped, like what's happening. All of our characters were dead, by the way, before, and like this is like us resummoned. Which ironically, I'm pretty sure is like plot-wise, it's similar to Mickey 17. We've not seen this movie yet, and when we started, we didn't know about, like, it wasn't announced yet, so anyway. But then on top of that, this line here is exactly what my character did. So when we were talking to the ship and getting introduced, and I was asking the AI of the ship what their name was, and at the beginning my character was very straightforward. They weren't really good with nuance at all. So the ship was, "My name is Immaterial," and I said, "It's a really pretty name, it's nice to meet you, Immaterial." And then I read this and I was like, there's truly not like an original thought left in the world. Like there's everything you can think of is done and said, and it was just really bizarre to me to read this word for word in a Discworld series. Anyway, So unrelated, but it's truly just like, has anyone had a unique experience at this point, or has everything has been done? But it does mean we get to roll again. So let's go and do that. Do a little necessary squish. Oh. 16. Not gonna lie, that kind of barely rolled. Oh. I'll remove that first. Okay. Oh. So the memory police.
This one just looked cool. That's going to be the vibe for most of this.
Oh, semi-floppy. Nice. I'll read the back for you. At ribbon bird rose. To the people on the island, a disappeared thing no longer has any meaning. It can be returned in the garden, thrown in the river, or handed over to the memory police. Soon enough, the island forgets it ever existed. When a young novelist discovers that her editor is in danger of being taken away by the memory police, she desperately wants to save him. For some reason, he doesn't forget, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for him to hide his memories. Who knows what will vanish next? This premise reminds me a little bit of The Forgetting. If you remember, this is so long ago. The Forgetting was like a YA novel about a world where, like a dystopian world setting. They kept like refreshing everyone's memories after a while, I think. Like after a couple of years, they would like kind of wipe everyone's memories to like control them, if I remember right. I do remember making bad jokes about forgetting The Forgetting. Again, not necessarily one I would have picked up very soon, but I am excited to try this. I think I got this because I thought it fit a little bit more of a speculative subgenre, which, as you may know, is my favorite genre. So hopefully that pans out. Okay. Not too mad at it. It's hard though because the only two books that I have pre-ordered, I think, both came today, which is quite interesting. So I thought I'll show you those as well. This one is called Luminous and is speculative. That's why I kind of remembered it. Oh, a white hardback. So in line to my other usual favorites, this one is meant to question what it is to be human, what that definition of life really means. This is a story of, I think, a reunified Korea, in a world where robots have kind of integrated into our life. So it's our family, there are our like bus drivers, doctors, lovers, sisters, like a full, from what I understand, like a full integration, hence the speculative. And we follow a couple of different POVs. One I think is like an 11-year-old girl who's like in a scrapyard trying to find parts to like help herself. I don't know if she is a robot herself. I like the thematic editing of this, even the synopsis is. So very cool, excited to read that. And then of course, shocker to none, or maybe shocker to some, because actually I'm getting this quite a few days after it released, which is a little bit annoying for a pre-order, but it's okay. Sunrise on the Reaping. It is in my April Magical Readathon TBR, so I'm very excited to be back in this world. And because people have been so quick to read it and I'm getting it like, I don't know, 4 days later, I already know that there's loads of people who have loved this, so my expectations are quite high, but I'm also really excited, and I feel like I've not actually been excited about a release in such a long time, so I'm actually really hyped to have this and go back to that world, because I think the last time I read Hunger Games was in 2013. It's been like 12 years. Morning. I thought I'll give you an update before I kind of get on with the day. So I am halfway through this book, and so the story is about an island where I say random, so far there hasn't been any logic as to why these particular things are targeted or why it's all happening. Things are basically like yoinked out of your subconsciousness. So the very first thing that we see, which is like within the first couple of pages, so it's not a spoiler, but one of the first things to disappear are the birds. And so people are kind of hit with this feeling of uneasiness, knowing and recognizing at this point that another disappearance must have been happening, and then they're looking around to see what type of thing doesn't make sense. So the thing is that I don't think that those things or concepts or whatever are taking away from them. They're still there. They just don't really mean things. So with the very first chapter, the girl is with her mother, and her mother is one of the people who were not affected by the forgetting, so they can still remember stuff. She has kept like a secret amount of drawers with some keepsakes, and she pulls out a perfume, and perfume has been removed for forever apparently now. So the girl can sense that this is meant to have like a smell when she sniffs it, but she cannot tell what it is. It doesn't, you know, bring out any emotions, it doesn't bring out any memories, and she can understand kind of like the concept of it, but like as soon as they kind of will stop talking about it, she'll somewhat forget. So it's not a complete erasure of things, because with like some prompting, some can vaguely remember what it was or what it did. It's a little bit more vague than just your usual complete erasure that no one remembers anything. Like the things are still there. It's actually going quite okay because I am, you know, reading it. I'm not being stuck on it. It's quite quick despite it definitely being a slow book. I will say I think some people will have an issue with the writing style in this one, and that is the opposite of what we kind of talked about throughout this whole experience. I feel this is as bare as it gets. This is very, first of all, it's in first person to begin with, so that I know to some people is already like not fantastic. It's very much I did this, I saw this, I stepped onto this, and then I thought this. It's very, very bare and basic and kind of like straightforward. Definitely not life-changing in the writing style, and I can't really comment if this is the author's writing style or if it is a specific choice. I would lean towards a specific choice because it feels quite like, think about a bare writing style, it's like even stripped down more in my eyes. However, the only thing I will say is that sometimes our main character is a writer, and sometimes like my next chapter we get like a paragraph that's going to be from her novel rather than actually following her. And I will say that the writing style continues, so it doesn't swap to like a slightly different tone, which makes me then wonder, maybe it is just the writing style. But then again, it is the first person, so maybe because we're in her head, that's how she thinks, and then that's how she writes. I hate to be that kind of person, but I do think this is like maybe more so an allegory to certain regimes. Like some of parallels drawn remind me a little bit of some of the tales from, you know, Soviet Union and stuff that I've heard from my parents and things, you know, people disappearing from their homes. And in Lithuanian's case, for example, it was a language that was meant to be disappeared. Books were forbidden and an offense, and people who were caught with those books then would be penalized and persecuted. So it's like, I can see, and there's a couple of more things as well, like the food scarcity and the entire communal kind of feel and helping thy neighbor. You know, there's like a lot. I will say I actually wanted it to be less of a kind of analogy to that kind of thing, and I really, really hope that we're gonna get some clarification as to why these specific things, why is this even happening? Like, is there some sort of bigger plot behind all of the disappearances and removing these things? Because currently there's no rhyme or reason. It's just kind of like you just accept it and you go with it, and that's fine, but it will knock down some of the stars for me, because I think in this case I really need some type of bigger plot, bigger reason. But I also understand it would be a stylistic, or maybe not stylistic, but it would be like a conscious decision to not give the reason. So you do just have to accept it because that would be the person living their experience. I just personally hope that we're gonna escalate this somewhere. So far, the story very much focuses on, you know, just talking about those type of memories, and we're helping someone who is a person who can remember the memories hide. So I'm sure there's gonna be like shenanigans there, but I can't believe I'll say this because normally I want it smaller. Like, I like when we're exploring kind of interpersonal level drama, I eat that up. But in this particular case, I think maybe because of the writing style, I really want to have some sort of bigger plot and reason. So that's where I'm at currently. It's definitely going well. It's almost, I feel like it's a very weird thing to say, but to me it feels almost like a palette cleanser, which I feel like I really needed. But I wouldn't go and recommend people this as a palette cleanser. I feel like this is like a me thing. I feel like this is not necessarily the best way to go about this book, and it would be one of the ones so far, specifically because of the writing style and the way that it's structured. I wouldn't go out of my way to recommend this to like everyone and anyone. I would only recommend this so far, obviously I've not finished it, to people with specific things that they're looking in books. I will say that I am thoroughly enjoying the very short chapters. It always helps. I genuinely feel like it always helps. But yeah, I'm gonna be hopefully doing a little bit more reading today. I mean, it is Sunday, so hopefully we can do that. I have a couple of things, and depending on whether or not I decide to film or not, that will eat up some time. Hello, how are you? Finished The Memory Police. Pretty tragic. It does slightly go further and further, seeing how much we can take away from people and what's left and what do you do with that. It ends up being almost on a philosophical level towards the end. I think I liked it. I like how we overlap with the story that she's written and her experiences later on. It does feel very centralized around her experience rather than talking about the concept in general outside of that, apart from maybe two other characters, the older man that she's grown close to, and the publisher, of course, which is the flip side of the story of someone who's unaffected with this. I'm not 100% sure what to honestly rate this. I think that I enjoyed it a little bit more again in like the first half of it, even though I did enjoy the very end, but the bit in the middle wasn't bad by any means. It was just a little repetitive, I guess, or it dragged out a little bit. I feel like the author has conveyed what they were wanting to tell and the points they were trying to put out quite well. I feel like I understood what they were going for, which, you know, is not actually a small feat, to be honest. I think that the blurb here at the front saying a dreamlike story of dystopia is very correct. I would say that this would be perfect for people who like quieter dystopians, slower. This is not a plot-driven book. This is very like inwards driven one. So like I liked it, but I don't feel any strong bond to it. I feel like this might be one that I do quite forget after a while. I like the concept. I'm like 50-50 on the execution. It is the 25th of March now, so I'm kind of undecided whether to just wrap it up here and call it a day, and then I have a couple more days to kind of edit this and upload it before the magical readathon starts, which would be the smart thing to do. Or we roll again and see what we get and how achievable that is. Maybe it is like a manga or something that I could squeeze in, and if it's a bigger book, then we just react to it and kind of close it here. I don't want this video to go into the magical readathon time. It's likely we're gonna be finishing here, but I kind of want to just roll once more just to see what's up, and then we can talk about the entire thing, and maybe I'll react to the books that were still on there I just didn't get. Oh, that feels like it's the end of the challenge. It feels thicker. Oh, okay. This was the Starlight Air.
This one, just because it looks kind of groovy. Starlight Air, no idea.
Well, too bad. I feel like I still have the book club book, so I'm not gonna be able to do that. But how about we just go through all of them, see what was actually behind, and then I can insert Logan's commentary here as well, so we can like react to it. Number 1 is here. Oh, not my type. Cute. I completely forgot I had this.
Some random romance as well, with a sexologist.
Number 2. I feel like there was a lot of romance and I didn't actually get that many, but we did get the vampire one though.
Another romancy one, just to mash things up a bit. This one's about astrology, I think. And the guy in it's called Bennett, that will wind Gunther up. We've got a friend called Bennett.
Number 3 was the board game werewolf. I feel like I know why he included this, because it's just a hilarious title.
Gay werewolf! Board gay werewolf.
Number 4. I don't know if it was on purpose number 4 because it's Ford, I feel like that's kind of fitting. I can understand this because I have read a couple of his books and I loved it, but I did not get along with Shades of Grey, so this would have been risque a little bit.
This one I picked to win the pile because I've actually read some of Jasper Fford's other books, and this should be good.
Number 5 was Sharp Objects. Again, it's a little bit tragic maybe that I haven't yet read anything by the author, but I loved the movie way back when for The Gone Girl, so it would have been an interesting experiment.
Sharp Objects. I realise I'm yelling these out loud. I'm hoping Guntara isn't listening.
Number 6, Slewfoot. This one is very beautiful because it has illustrations throughout, which is very creepy. But this is definitely more like October, so I'm quite happy that we didn't get this one.
Slewfoot, purely on cover alone. The art is fucking amazing.
Number 7, is that another romance? Ali Hazelwood one. This could have ended up being a very romance-heavy video.
We have the sexiest of board games, Jess, with Checkmate. We're going to make her continue this series because she's only read the first one and she needs to read the rest.
Ooh, Bat Eater. This is like a new horror one. Wouldn't have minded trying that, but that's because it's pretty fresh in my mind because it was a fairly recent release. It's a shame this one didn't come up.
This one is because it's called Bat Eater and it's got a creepy looking thing in the front.
11. I'm actually gonna assume he picked this for the exact reason that I bought it, and that is because the title is Dark Matter, which is the Dark Matter of Blake Crouch, which I really liked, so completely a coincidental type of thing, but also I think like a ghost kind of story. So I'm okay we didn't get it just now, but could be fun to try again in the future.
We've got Dark Matter, just to be confusing, because it's not the one that we've read. This one's about a ghost.
14. Is he joking? He put in Babel. If I gotten this, we may have gotten maybe just through this book and nothing else. If lucky. This could have been disastrous, despite it probably being a masterpiece, but for the purpose of the video, wild.
She said no big books, but this one looks cool. Babel.
15, I see, is a Terry Pratchett. There were 2 in the shelves. The statistics, the chance of me delving into this world, quite high, but I'm actually happy that the other one was the first one because that one genuinely is like the first one in this world, whilst this is I think maybe the first one in the Death series, I'm not quite sure. And it says the 4th Discworld novel, so quite happy that we got the other one first. 18. Oh, Girlfriend on Mars. I do really want to read this. This would have been a fun one to have picked up.
This is where I'm gonna send her to Mars.
19. And the last one of the ones that we didn't get was Nod. And honestly, kind of okay that I didn't get this one because I'm struggling with sleep on my new meds. And this is all about people who have insomnia and can't fall asleep. And then it's not bueno. So I'm actually quite happy that we didn't get this one.
Because it looks spooky. No sleeping in this one.
Oh, I forgot to show you what the bookmark I was using for this one. I thought it really matched. Tonally. I feel like I'm missing something, but maybe I'm not. I think this is the result of the experiment. If I had to pick a favorite, it's really funny because I feel like writing style, these two are like night and day. What a whiplash. I feel like all of the reads that I got were so far off the top of my TBR, which is quite nice because again, it made me pick it up when I otherwise wouldn't have. If I had to pick a favorite, that's actually quite hard because I didn't get any 5-star reads. I do think The Color of Magic had definitely the most charm, and the first like 30% of My Roommate is a Vampire was so fun. It's just I really didn't feel the chemistry. So again, I will repeat myself, I wish this was more of a What We Do in the Shadows type of situation rather than going into the romance side of things, because I just feel like tone-wise it didn't quite work in that sense. And I had to like suspend my disbelief outside of that being the vampire thing many times. This was just pure unfortunate. This was interesting. So was this. But I think if I had to pick a favorite, it would be The Color of Magic. If I do end up reading more Discworld books, I can almost guarantee you this is not going to be my favorite. Just because, oh my god, just from what I hear from people. But it has been the gateway drug for me into the series, and I do now have an inkling of wanting to read more. So we're gonna call that a win. But this was very interesting. If you guys would want to see me do this again, I would be quite inclined to, as long as you enjoyed it as well. Make sure to let me know if you did, and then we'll make it happen again. But I think I'm gonna stop here so I can edit it in time and release it before the Magical Readathon, which is starting soon. I'm very excited about that. See you in the next one. Bye.